Apply Saint, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Based on where you're watching the live broadcast from. I am a Siami calling out and broadcasting to you live at the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs, and Tourism. And to the press briefing here at MICAT will be addressed by the Acting Commissioner of Liberia Immigration Services, Honorable Elijah F. Rufus. Honorable Elijah F. Rufus, um, Ambassador Julie Andy, Executive Director of Crusaders for Peace, and Auntie T. Maswell, the head of Executive Liberia Youth Empowerment Programs. Honorable Elijah F. Rufus to speak on the launch for the visa on arrival and re-entry permit project.
Please have your gadget on silent.
Website and it recognized to roll out in collaborations with partners. Ambassador Julie Andy, the Executive Director for Crusader for Peace, will speak on the following upcoming expos in Japan and Liberia. Preparedness for participation, sold to the ELBC 99.9. Keep following.
Distinguished colleagues of the media, our invited guests, I'd like to invite you to the Charles William Press Hall, where our regular Tuesdays and Thursday press briefings are held. This afternoon, the presiding officer of the press conference is Honorable Daniel Sandos. Honorable Sandos is the Deputy Minister for Press and Public Affairs. He will introduce to you the Chief Administrator and our guests. After our guest presentation, you as journalists have the opportunity to ask questions relative to the subject that we presented. At this juncture, I'd like to invite the Deputy Spokesperson of the government who will make his introductory comments, after which we will introduce to you our guests, including our Chief Administrator, Mr. Sandos.
The Deputy Spokesperson of the government, Deputy Minister for Press and Public Affairs, Honorable Daniel Otinson.
Good afternoon, members of the media. Good afternoon to our visiting guests. On behalf of the senior management team of the Ministry of Information, I'd like to welcome all of you to the historic Charles William Conference Room. We have assembled key entities of the government to be able to speak to development in various sectors. You may recall that a month or so ago, the Liberia Immigration Service signed an MOU with the Ministry of Information, Legist, and other functionaries. That MOU was meant to address certain things that will serve as precursor to opening the tourism industry of our country. Today, the LRS Deputy Commissioner is here with his team, and I'm very certain that he will make proper introduction of those who accompany him when he mounts the podium. He's here to make an official announcement on behalf of the LRS. We also have the Director General of the President's Cabinet. And the Director General is a very basic person because he steers the affairs of the Cabinet Secretariat. There are a lot of things to do over there, so we don't intend to keep him for long. The Director General is here to speak about the performance management contract that was signed up to by various entities of government. So we also have the the group that has taken a step to address something very pivotal, some of the bread and butter issue. While the government is making headways in road construction, the expansion of the energy sector, we cannot forget, we cannot downplay the importance of job creation. And talk about job creation, the country's youthful population are the epic center of the radio. And so the Liberia Youth Empowerment, you heard in the corridors that they've organized an initiative to provide short-term opportunity for young people. Mr. Maswell Grisby is here. He will provide you details when he comes to speak. But just before we invite the Director General of the Cabinet to the podium, we'd like to speak to one specific issue. That is the wave of violence against security officials of the country. Yesterday, social media was flooded with a very terrifying graphic picture of a law enforcement officer, Humphrey Khan. He was attacked with an object believed to be the top of a commode on his head. And this incident occurred around the Johnson Street area while the officer was enforcing the compliance measure that prohibits commercial motorcycles from moving in restricted areas. The officer is receiving treatment at the John F. Kennedy Medical Center, and the doctor tells us that he's responding to the treatment. But in the wake of what happened yesterday, there are some people who are highly under the gambit of civil society activism. And they have come up to criticize the government stance, the no-go zone, and are therefore suggesting that the government is trying to deprive motorcyclists of the daily bread. First and foremost, that information is not true. The government is not insensitive to the plight of the people. The government will do everything it can to provide opportunities for Liberians, whether you are a motorcyclist, you are a keke rider, for you to make your daily living. What the government will not entertain, is when people start to ascribe unto themselves the authority that they don't have. The country should be governed by law. You have a government. The government assesses the security situation, the vulnerability, the threats, and said, in the name of public safety, motorcycles are prohibited from flying in these areas. How does that restrict a motorcyclist from earning his daily living? So are you saying to us that the motorbike was bought only to run in Central Morocco? The rest of the city is there. You can go to Pinsville, you can go to Bannersville, you can go to Cross, but you cannot move in these areas. What is wrong with that? And you are highly under the gambit of being a civil society activist. And you are misrepresenting the facts, distorting information, and inciting violence. We appreciate the role of people who want to be civil society activists. But when you say you are a civil society activist, be a civil society activist. If you want to be a politician, we'll treat you like a politician. Because some of the people who talking will know what they did to the country over the last 6 years. The government, the campaign, and Kerry Castle came here and broke down every system that we are now trying to rebuild. You go to Ghana, you go to Rwanda, you say Rwanda is the cleanest city. Ghana is this, Arico is that. But when you come to your own country and they try to impose or enforce a simple restriction that will restore some sanctity and decency to your country, you try to play politics out of it. So whoever that civil society activist is, he has to be reminded that we are a government who will take measures. That measure will be enforced. The police have moved to return the motorcycles that were impounded or arrested during the violent incident. That tells you that the police is good intention. For people to begin to raise their hand and become very violent against law enforcement officers. That law enforcement officer is a Liberian citizen. The same rights you have got, the same right he has got. And even beyond that, it's a law enforcement officer. These are people who sacrifice. When everybody's sleeping, they are out there enforcing the law. And you brutalize, you wounded a police officer simply because he's doing the right thing. That is unacceptable. Most motorcyclists are not law unto themselves. The other day, the president and vice president of the Merged Federation of Motorcyclists, a tricycle union, came here. We all heard what he said, that there are some politicians who are trying to infiltrate the ranks of the leadership of the group to threaten protests. And they were very emphatic that they have endorsed no form of protest. In spite of that, you came into the street, you said you are presenting your petition to the legislature, to the U.S. Embassy, and to other partners, foreign embassies around the world. You did that. Why can't you engage constructively? You're inciting violence to the extent where law enforcement officers are being brutalized. The government will act by apprehending anybody who is found to be involved with that incident. We wish the officer well as he continually receives medical attention at the JFK hospital. And we'd like to encourage all other law enforcement officers to be more vigilant. They should not be deterred. The country has got a government, and the government has got a mandate to enforce the law governing this country. That being said, let me now invite the Director General of the Cabinet, Honorable Nathaniel Kwabo, to the microphone.
Director General of the Cabinet.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much, Mr. Minister, and other ministers of the Ministry of Information for allowing me to speak to the public on an important issue at short notice. Ladies and gentlemen, as you are aware, barely a year ago, the President was clear on how he wanted his heads of agencies to work. Before he became President, he made it clear that I want those who are in positions of authority to serve the Liberian people to deliver, and deliver in a way that the Liberian people will have the service that they need. That process has come a long way, and we are at a critical point where I would like to make a few announcements and inform the Liberian people about where we are and where we go. Today marks a historic milestone in our nation's governance and public administration. For the first time in our country's history, the government is conducting a performance appraisal of public institutions, measuring their achievements against the priority targets under the performance management compliance system. This significant initiative reflects the commitment of His Excellency President Joseph Numa Boakai to a results-driven public service that is transparent, accountable, and efficient in delivering to the Liberian people. Since the launch of the PMCS in October 2024, we have made progress in institutionalizing a culture of performance management within government. Over 90 public institutions have developed clear performance targets, signed performance contracts with the President, and many have taken concrete actions toward meeting their commitments. These institutions have worked tirelessly to implement priority programs aimed at enhancing service delivery, improving efficiency, and strengthening governance. The annual performance appraisals, which we're about to do, now provides the opportunity to assess the achievements, identify challenges, and refine strategies for greater impact. Additionally, as you are aware, the government of Liberia has recently launched the National Development Plan, the Arrest Agenda for Inclusive Development. And this agenda sets bold vision for sustainable economic growth, social transformation, and institutional reforms. The success of the PMCS and these annual performance appraisals is even more critical in ensuring that government institutions are delivering on their strategic priorities and aligning their efforts with the broader national development plan or goals. Performance monitoring will help track institutional contributions to the Arrest Agenda, ensuring that tangible results are achieved for the people of Liberia. For this PMCS cycle, the one that we're just appraising, the presidential priority targets focus on two key areas. One, the development and publication of Service Delivery Charter, the SDC, which ensures that institutions establish clear service commitment to the public, and the strengthening of internal systems, enhancing efficiency, accountability, and institutional capacity to effectively deliver quality services. Now, what are the key targets of the appraisal process, the key stages? On March 7, a few days ago, we issued the institutional self-assessment forms and guidelines to all institutions. On March 13 will be the deadline for institutions to submit their self-assessments detailing their performance against the targets that were set in the contract with the President. Between March 17 and 26, there will be independent verification evaluation of these assessments, self-assessments, by the Central PMCS team to validate the institutional reports. And the Central PMCS team comprises of the Secretariat, the Cabinet Secretariat, and the PMCS Technical Working Group, which is an interministerial group. On March 28th, there will be presentations of the final performance report to the President. And March 31st, public announcements of performance results and recognition of high-performing institutions. Ladies and gentlemen, it is important to note that this assessment does not evaluate the overall performance of institutions, but instead focuses exclusively on their progress towards the priority targets outlined under the PMCS and their performance contract with the President. Furthermore, this is not a one-time exercise. The PMCS operates on a cyclical basis, ensuring continuous improvement and institutional accountability. The 2025 cycle, which begins in April, will build on the experiences and lessons from this inaugural 2024 cycle, further strengthening performance tracking, data-driven decision-making, and service delivery effectiveness. Now we urge all institutions to cooperate fully with this process, ensuring timely and accurate submission of their assessments. This is a presidential priority. Institutions are expected to demonstrate full commitment to transparency, accountability, and measurable impact of what they do. The Cabinet Secretariat and the PMCS Technical Working Group remain available to provide support and clarification as needed. Together, we are shaping a new era of governance where results matter, accountability is upheld, and public institutions deliver on their mandate to the Liberian people. Thank you. If there are questions? Yes.
So the DG is very busy, so if you have any question for him, please put the question.
So,
Okay, so I should have.
And I should say, the president, by taking oath of office as president, signed a social contract with the Liberian people. And now, it is the responsibility of those that is appointed at the highest level to perform based on the contract that is signed with the president. We intend to cascade this down to assistant ministers, deputy ministers, assistant ministers, directors. And we also intend to ensure that this exercise is also carried out within local government. So superintendents and their council will also set targets that will hold them responsible for. The idea is to make sure that people perform. It should be a scientific process. If the government has come up with a national development plan and says within the next 5 years, we expect the country to be at a particular point, it is the responsibility of everyone in government to work towards that. So, for example, if the Ministry of Finance sets targets aligned with the National Development Plan to say the economy will be at a particular point as a result of certain activities, those targets will be clearly defined in the KPIs, and we, as a department, working with other institutions, will make sure that the Ministry of Finance achieve those targets over time. So the next cycle will begin the yearly target setting, which also will be aligned to your responsibility under the National Development Plan, your natural mandate, and of course, the vision of the president. So people will be working in government clearly based on targets that are set to meet, targets that will deliver service to the Liberian people. I mean, government no longer will be working in an ad hoc fashion where anybody will just decide to do anything they want to do. You must set targets to achieve the national goal, and those targets will be measured and will appraise you based on that as well. So the government is going to function in a quite effective way, unlike before. Thank you.
So that was voice of the executive director, Ms. Liberia Immigration Services, named Elijah F. Rufus.
Good morning to all, or good afternoon. Honorable Deputy Minister and his team at the Ministry of Information, members of the folk estate, Let me firstly introduce my team here from the Liberia Immigration Service and our partners before we can go in depth to inform the Liberian people, the alien community, as well as the international community, what we are here for today. Sitting on my left there is Honorable Kunduka Jaliba, Deputy Immigration Commissioner in charge of operations. Director Ibrahim Ahmed Dore is there, former Director of Press, now Director for Migration Management, Liberia Immigration Service. Director Joseph S. Hammer, he's our Director for Professional Standard. He investigates all matters pertaining to immigration and other people, as well as our expert in travel document analysis. Further is Madam Betty, our partner from Certain Zip Solution. Sis Cleo is there, as well as Mr. Ernest Barker. These are our partners. We have come today to inform the Liberian people where we are as it relates to the project we've undertaken some time ago, which is Visa on Arrival and Re-Entry Permit. Almost a month ago, we should have launched this project, but we had some technical issues which we needed to work out before launching. All of these issues have been taken care of now, so we are ready to go. The Visa on Arrival project has been in the making for a very long period of time, since I've been with the Liberia Immigration Service. It is now this administration that is actualizing this project. Our people in the diaspora, as well as people who intend to visit Liberia on business venture or tourism venture, they do find it difficult to obtain visa to travel to Liberia because we have limited diplomatic missions around the world. On account of that, we, the government of Liberia, decided to launch this project so that it would make it much easier for people to access visa to travel to Liberia. This project we are launching, we will initially begin with people traveling through the Rabas International Airport or our air borders. As time marches on, then we'll be moving to our strategic land border to include the Bowater, Ganta, Logato, and the rest of the other places. And we believe that this project is in the interest of the government of Liberia, the security, as well as our international partners, because it made it much easier for them to access visa to travel to Liberia. And if Liberia is open to business, as envisaged by the government of Liberia, we must ensure that we create the enabling condition that will not make it so difficult for people who have desire to come to Liberia. So that is why we have embarked upon this. It will also help us within the security sector to know who comes in, how you come in, and how you are here. Because since the founding of the Liberia Immigration Service, we have been dealing with a paper manual based visa structure, which is very easy to do. But with this state-of-the-art technology, we know that it is going to be impossible. And it will help government, as I indicated, to also raise more revenue. It will have a positive side, increased revenue. So as we march forward during the question and answer period, our expert on international document analysis, Joseph Hammer, will be presenting to you the specimen of what we are talking about, as well as our partners who will be side by us to answer some of those questions that you will be asking, those things you need to know. And beyond here, we want to encourage you to reach out to us so that you can help us spread this information and you will get to know more of what we want to do in the interest of Liberia. So thank you.
Thank you, Minister. When your colleague with hard challenge stand before you and set the platform, just continue. We don't want to be discriminatory. We are not shocked when we have hard challenge. Let me thank you. I'm Grace B. Maxwell. I consult with LPRC in the office of the MD, and I've been asked to help coordinate the SOE Youth Empowerment Project. All of us know that in Liberia, the conversation about election is all about job creation. And in the last few months, we had a famous conversation about whether or not it is the responsibility of a government to provide jobs or to provide an enabling environment for creation of jobs. The truth is, in a general context and across the world, the government has obligation to create the enabling environment so that people can get jobs. But in countries like ours, where bulk of the people are poor, very few investment opportunities, most of the people in the employment sector are government workers, we either find a way to get people doing something or get ready for the chaos of the youthful energy that sometimes can be used negatively. So the president, in his wisdom, requested the SOE to find some money so that we can deploy young people. This is the first phase of what we tried to do. We tried to deploy 1,000 young people across Mosurata County. Within Mosurata is a hot spot. Anything you see within Mosurata, we can easily replicate it in the county. So Amos Twell, who has LPRC as the managing director, is the lead on this exercise. The president asked Honorable Twell and Honorable Molly Kamara to supervise this effort. And I've been asked to lead the technical work in getting the young people recruited, getting the young people deployed, and getting the young people to be paid. My wife asked me, why do you want to do this? You're not young anymore, you're getting older. But even though I'm getting older, but I think the MJ is still there to help solve this challenge. And the biggest crisis we had, Minister, was recruiting these young people. So for 1 week between February 21st and 28th, we sent out publication for people to apply to either be supervisor or volunteer. In 1 week, we used all of the available local medias and our websites. We got 8,645 applications just for 1,000 people. And that was the one that came before the deadline, February 28th. The ones after the deadline were more than 2,000. So you see, there is a demand. And interestingly, for community service work, because most of the SOEs are so overcrowded. LPRC used to have a staff strength of less than 200 just under a decade ago. Today, LPRC has a staff strength, staff and contractors of 900. The wage bill has become so high. The government cannot move to say they will downsize people because there are too many people employed. That's the same case with NPA and most of these institutions. So if you say you want to downsize, you increase hardship. And there's not enough room to do more employment. Because you keep employing, you get 3 persons in one office doing Zuma and playing Facebook and making very no impact. You have almost 3-4 people doing the same job. So this idea is intended to have young people serve their community. for a few hours in a day and still get money to take care of themselves. If you're in the market, for instance, you will be somebody selling the market, and the little bit about people you're selling the money is not enough to keep your kid in school. In the morning, you can come, join the community service, work for 5 hours, 7 to 12. By the afternoon, you go back to your market. By the time the month end your mobile money, you register $105 added to the paper and bid up on money. So we found a way to make sure people have means to get money. We believe it's a good exercise. We just could not take the over 8,600. The president, when he got this news, he thought we should have taken the 8,600, but the initial funding we received were money directly from SOEs. We requested that they contribute a minimum of 30,000 each of the institution. So there are 7 institutions. Our account should register 210,000. So it's small. The monthly compensation for the volunteers are 94,000. You run that by 2, the money already finished. Then we have to get logistics. We have to support the cities with fuel and everything else. So we are lobbying to have a little more money. The exercise is going to be for 2 months initially. We are developing a comprehensive package for the second half of the budget year. Some of the people in the Senate who are not called now, they've asked us to see whether they can have some line in the budget so that at least 5,000 young people across the country can get to work in the second half of the budget year. I think this inspires hopes in the young people across the country. We are very excited about it. Everyone cannot be a minister at the same time. I used to be head of an institution before. Today I'm coordinating youth work. I feel very excited about it because it's more about impact than the title. At the end of the day, you will be judged according to the impact you make, not the title you hold. There are 1,000 families today going to bed because I'm controlling something that before the 31st of this month, they will get something to feed their kids. For me, that's the passion that drives us into public service. So we're excited to do this. We'll be available for your questions. I want to thank the Ministry of Information for giving us this platform. Over the next few weeks, we want to do more work and little talking. For the first few days, our concentration has been the cemetery. Those of you in Central Monrovia, if you have to go to Pine Grove now, it's been like, I don't know, more than 150 of our citizens are living in the cemetery. They have their homes, they are born kids. You cannot even access it because of the stockpile of garbage. But these young people are volunteering to have it clean. From here, I'll be going there. We're very grateful. We want to say thank you to them. Those of you living in Pinsville, the Tupelo Cemetery, if you go there down, there's a whole stockpile of garbage coming out of the cemetery. We'll try to clear it tonight. You will see more death in the community these few days. It's not because the death are increasing. It's because we are cleaning and compiling. So we have that clear. We need to find more money to get fuel, to get trucks to clear them. But we are excited about what we are doing, especially at a time when money to health sector has reduced. You can't afford to have an outbreak. So we believe the intervention is timely. We keep the community clean. We put money in people's pocket, and then we can multiply happiness. I want to thank you, Mr. Minister. We'll be available for questions. Thank you.
So that was the voice of Anthony Gibson, head of Executive
With
Liberia Youth Empowerment Program.
Conclusion from the last speaker, we will entertain questions. Pamela, let's take the questions. The guests are willing to respond to your questions. You just want to get a pencil. Thank you. So basically, for the thing of RS, the e-visa system is a very good system and most appreciated. Basically, there are a few questions. The first question is, e-visa? No, visa on arrival. A visa on, okay, let me correct that. Visa on arrival. So it's about modernizing the visa system. So the questions are, what is the durability for an applicant to obtain the visa on arrival? And the second question is,
What is the fees attached to the applicant who wanting to obtain a visa on arrival? And the third question is the visa on arrival available to all nationals around the world wanting to enter Liberia? Thank you. And to the team there from that of the SOE, you emphasize on job creation for young people to get job, and it's important for young people to be employed and giving them hope. The project in which you're talking about is 2 months, as you said, and it's a short-term project. Is there any sustainability plan for Liberians, young people who are going to get employed, that after working for 2 months, then they will not go back to the state of hopelessness or being jobless? And the committee that was set up, is there any way possible you have recruited additional members on the committee, or it is just those who are being empowered by the president? If you have employed people on the committee, what is that targeted budget for this project? Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Simano Mopolu. So my question goes to Minister Sino. The issue of the motorbike, you spoke about it. From the outset, we saw motorcyclists, hitting or causing bulls in the country. It was not good. And the next time we saw, security apparatus fighting. And this come around, we've seen that an officer has been hurt. And then the representation of the government, you literally crying. My question is, how is the government intending to handle the entire motorcycle issue in order to avoid future chaos in this country? I don't think that we're ready for that. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Ishmael Logan. I work for Punch Radio Liberia. I have a few concerns, beginning with Anthony Tiklo Grisby. When you outline the short-term empowerment program for young people, many are concerned about what distinguishes this program from the one, being initiated by the past government, called the TSC, that's a temporary empowerment for community youth. There were instances where the young people took to the street, including the Ministry of Finance. They were, in protestation or their compensation owed them by the government. So how do you intend for this to have a different thing? And follow up to that is, there's this belief that people caring about this program, that it was done, the selection process was done on a pick and choose basis. You clear to explain how you go about the recruitment, that is to identify the 1,000 person on the 8,000. And to Minister Sano, it was last week when you responded to Senator Suno about his outburst involving the situation with the House of Representatives and the ECOWAS Parliament. And it was the same week ECOWAS, sent a communication rejecting the appointment of 3 representatives to replace the individuals that were recalled at the ECOWAS Parliament. So how do you, reconcile this statement that Senator Suno does not speak for ECOWAS, and similar thing he said is what rejection the ECOWAS Parliament made in relation to the recalling of those 3 representatives serving the ECOWAS Parliament representing Liberia interests? Thank you.
Thank you so much. My name is George Momo, and I report for Case TV Liberia. So my question goes to the Liberia Youth Empowerment Program. So the young people recruited are going to be working in the communities. So I care to know what is employed in terms of community leadership involvement so that they take ownership of the sanitation project. Thank you.
My name is Joseph Sadi, and I report for Lata FM and TV to the SOEs. We've been in this process before from Madam Mary Bro, and we saw what went on in this country. What are you doing different for the mistakes that were made by Madam Bro, for similar mistakes not to be made through your intervention? And to the list boss, there are reports in the corridor that immigration officers are buying uniform outside. Do you care to respond to that? And the last time I visited the border between Liberia and Cape Town, most of the immigration officers were crying on logistics and support. Do you care to throw light on that also too?
I'm Samuel Johnson, and my question is directed to Deputy Minister Daniel Sandu. You talk about violence. I think just a day or two, there was an arson or alleged arson attack for the third time on the Salala Bobo plantation, placed there in Bon County. I don't know, Bon or Magibi. And I wanted to ask as to whether the government has been briefed by the sad situation that occurred where fire or alleged individuals set the plantation on fire. And my second question is, the House of Representatives, since you say you speak for the three branches of government, the House of Representatives is expected this weekend to host a retreat. And in that retreat, they invited the Sierra Leone parliamentary, the Gambia, and I think Ghana. So I wanted to know if the government is responsible to pay for the said retreat, and if the government is responsible, how much is the government spending for said retreat? Because the last time the Senate had a retreat in that same Farmington, Liberians were lashing at the Senate, and they said it was wasted resources. What was discussed that was not in their interest. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Christopher Batsman, and I report for Voice of Liberia. One question quickly to Anthony Grisby. Well, currently there is a youth empowerment ongoing across the country under the Realize project. I've been doing some investigative report to some of these slum community, particularly in the Garlandsville Township, the Pushaw Island Bill, and some of these community dwellers have been complaining that when it comes to the memorandum of understanding, the Realize project, has been, doing some shadow deals with them because they promised to give them a certificate and $1 citizen ID card. Now, where are we with the government with this youth empowerment program in terms of they start paying? Because some of them are also saying that what is ongoing right now with the Realize project, they don't want to have this as a reflection from the government. So what will be the benefit of some of the participants when it comes to the youth empowerment program? And what is it the government is now also working along with the Realize projects, at least to enhance and bring more people on board, to make this a quality and a long-lasting project? Thank you.
Thank you. Those are all the questions.
Got a question? Deputy Commissioner?
So that's it for questions by journalists. This is answers by the guest. So if I just joined, I would like to say welcome. This is LATV Liberia Live at ELBC 99.9.
Thank you very much. So I see that
Broadcasting to you live.
Thank you very much.
The Ministry of Information, Culture, Affairs and Tourism.
Very wonderful. So I see that the press is also interested in this visa on arrival regime. Your question speak to that. The first thing you want to know is the fee of the visa. You want to know the duration. How long does it take for one to have the visa? And the next thing is you want to know the countries that are eligible. Before I answer the question, kindly help me do this. Before now, like the Honorable Commissioner acting said, we used to have this regular visa on a very big flying sheet. Now what we have now is a visa sticker, which is the visa on arrival in the re-entry permit card. This is not a regular paper. We have three kinds of paper. We have the commercial paper, we have the recycled paper, and then we have the security paper. What will happen is this paper is very durable and it becomes optically dead under the UV light. The UV light is the ultraviolet light. You're not going to see it because this place is very, very bright. So if you use the UV light on this document, for instance, you realize that
the security features that are hidden within this document are going to become visible. Like for example, we have the UV ink, which is the ultraviolet ink. We have the security fibers. Fibers are tiny hair-like substances that are placed within the security paper at random during the manufacturing process. It is a anti-capping measure. Now, if you look at the visa as you're seeing it right now, you will see that this side is greenish, the one is bluish and is green. So that is called the rainbow print. And within the rainbow print, we also have the offset printing technique. The offset printing technique is a detailed, intricate design that is anti-capping. So it is almost impossible to simulate the offset printing technique. One thing we achieve is the fact that, you know, most of you, when you have your US dollars, the first thing you want to look at is the lower corner. When you have the 50, you know, it's going to be changing color, right? So we have it here also. So if you look at this star, we have what we call the optical variable ink. Now this optical variable ink is a kind of ink that will change color. It will turn yellowish, bluish. It's going to be constantly changing based on the different angle you view it from. It is impossible to simulate. And as much as possible, the photograph on both the visa card and the re-entry permit is an integrated photo. The reason for the integrated photo and not the conventional photo is because we want to prevent photo substitution. If this was a conventional photograph attached to this visa, it is possible for someone to carefully remove the conventional photo, but once it is an integrated photo, any attempt to remove this photo is going to jeopardize the visa itself. So all of those features are also found within the re-entry permit as per the fee of the visa. So the visa on arrival is at a fee of $102.50. This $102.50 can be paid online using MasterCard or other means available. So once you get to our website, lis.visaonarrival.gov, you're going to see our website, you're going to get the information there. The next thing is, once you apply for the visa, it takes us between at most 7 days to get your visa ready. And so you can have the electronic copy of the visa that will be sent to you. And now you can either have it in the phone or you print it out so that you show it to the airline before embarking on the flight. Once you get at the RRA, we are now going to peel this one up and stick it in your passport. Then you have the visa on arrival. The eligibility, like the Honorable Commissioner mentioned in his expose, for now we have limited diplomatic missions around the world, and so the visa is mainly going to be focused on countries that Liberia does not have a diplomatic mission. You understand? So I hope we have answered your question. Thank you very much.
That was questions answered by the Liberia Immigration Services. In this case,
I told the Alliance active boss that you will have more questions, but at the same time, you gave me good questions. So just quickly, first, we had a question. You wanted to know the budget. The original idea of this project was to provide support every July and December for young people. You know, SOE are all on focus when young people get money at the peak season. But what we have seen, and with the mandate of the president, we are now looking beyond that period. So the initial budget was $210,000 to do 1,200 people for a month. That was the initial budget, and we can share with you on social media. There's nothing to hide. As it is now, we are moving to 2 months. The budget is around $320,000. Like I said to you, none of us, I'm not paid on the project. I'm paid by LPRC as a consultant in the MD office. So I don't get paid for this program. I'm seconded to coordinate this exercise. If the project had to pay me, they would pay me at least $60,000. So the government saving that money for me to do pro bono as head of secretariat on this project.
Most of the money we're putting, like I said, $94,000 per month for the payment to supervisors and volunteers. You run that by 2, it's already around almost 190. The rest of it we have to get fuel, like I said, for Providence City, Monrovia City, Pittsburgh City. We have to get logistics. You have the time after a year, go to Pine Grove, go to some of the cemetery. It's not the Zobo cleaning them. Our young people from the community have done a wonderful job. So the budget, like I said, is on 320, and most of the money go towards paying volunteers, getting tools, and buying fuel for the cities. We can share that budget publicly. Will the project go beyond 2 months? Yes, it's a national government decision. The president has intimated to my boss, MD Toy, that he intends to continue. I didn't talk to the president. He didn't tell me that. But he told my boss he believes it's a good idea that he wants to continue. He thinks his friends in the diaspora and the business partners should put money in it. He has started sending calls out to the legislature already to have them consider, a long-term intervention. So yes, there is indeed a commitment for continuation. And this time we'll not be talking 1,000 again. We'll be talking anywhere between 5,000 and above. Then have you recruited other people to work on the secretariat? And not only so government people, that question was interesting. So the secretariat, we have multiple agencies implementing, and all of the people on the secretariat were seconded by their institutions, so we don't pay. We have a technical person for MCC who is paid by MCC. We have another technician from PCC paid by PCC, so the project will not pay secretariat people. You work free of charge. You get paid by your entity. However, we have supervisors, 47. I can share the list with you. They are all people we are recruited to help us on the field. They are the ones doing the work. The supervisors get $150. My team, as we speak, $30 is for transportation. They've already, most of them signed for the transportation already. Before 31st March, they will get another $120 for their service. So yes, we do have people working for that directly on the secretariat because we don't have money to have big bureaucratic budget to pay. We want more money to go in the hand of people now, so we have to be voluntary. We have support staff who are not government employed, people who are helping us. I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Focus Wilson. Mr. Wilson is right here with us. He's not employed in the government. One of you talked about how the selection process was not, it's rumored that it was not credible. Focus Wilson, Fendera Patrick's, the flag president, leadership president, they participated in the vetting process. If you have the time now, you can go on Spoon TV. You will see the vetting process on Spoon TV. It was a live process. The raffle was on live. People all across the world commented what we did. There's a software where you can even do the raffle on my computer. We could have done that, but people who are still said it was not fair. So we thought to do a manual raffle on live TV. Mr. Focus Wilson participated as member of a non-state actor group. He does not work for government. He's not a government person. You all know the RIG group chairman, Fendera Patrick, does not work for government. Except, to the best of our recollection, he was part of the exercise, flag president, the Federation of Liberian Youth and other institutions helped us do this process. So I can say it was a credible process. Please check the online recruitment process. What distinguishes this project from others, and people always talking about the Mirror Broad project, it took us some time to do deployment of people because I have been part of this process as far back as 2000 while in grade school. And this thing helped to pay my fees at least for one academic year under the MCC UNICEF project. So we know of the excesses. And some of the excesses are when you're very anxious to deploy volunteer, no database, then it becomes a problem. It's always in Liberia, be careful how you tell people to go volunteer. So the 1,000 people that are out there, we have their mobile money number. We have all of the details. We published the provisional list already. It's been online. The final list will be published by Monday of next week. We are asking people to confirm the mobile money number. We are physically verifying the persons on the field that they are working. We're going to send that payroll to CSA so that people do not, people who are employed in government do not take up time to leave the government job to come back and work also on this one. We'll ask CSA to please verify our payroll. We'll ask RAA to do clearing of the payroll. So the 1,000 people, I can put 20% on my mobile money number for the money to come to me, because these are all things that people do. So we have a team, particularly on that, and we'll ask RAA to do that as well. Hopefully by the 28th, between the 28th and 31st, once you're on that payroll, the bank will start crediting your mobile money. There will be no third-party payment. We've set up. And the guarantee I have that it will not be like the merry-go-round process is because the thing we're doing now, that process did not do it. It was a physical payment thing where people can stay online, and then you have the money sitting there. So nobody got to come anywhere. Stay wherever you are. But between the 28th to the 31st, that's why we ensure that the bank verify the payroll before the 28th. Because sometimes if you have one teller on the payroll, it takes so much time. And the bank must guarantee to us. Another thing is, Ministry of Finance doing voucher. We're not going for voucher anyway. The money laying there RB. If you tell me pay tomorrow, once we authorize them, money will start going on mobile money. So before we even talk about putting people out there, we got the money sitting down in the bank. I don't think you think it's the same with the miracle project or the ones that I had before. So yeah, there are many other interventions. This is not the only. The government recognized that the young people are the present and the future leaders of Liberia. I don't want to say future so you don't hold them liable. But we believe you are the present and future leaders. So we cannot use one project to think that we've done so much for young people. Youth Export, they're doing vocation job, they're doing the career development program, many other interventions. But we still have almost 65% of the population being youthful, and a good number of that population are still unemployed. Most of them are either unemployed or underemployed. So you get somebody master's degree, they're working somewhere at security, making $250. Yes, they are employed, but for the qualification they have, $250 can already take care of them. So there are many cases of unemployment. The things we intend to do, I want to talk. I'm being very brief today because I want the president to do more of the talking. His cabinet meeting comes on Thursday of this week. I'm told he wants to deliberate more on these things. My role is to help be in the thinking room, and we share the thought of the president. He can speak for the president. I think I've said too much now. Thank you, God bless.
That was the voice of Anthony Maxwell, head of the Liberia Youth Empowerment Programs. Maybe I just showed them like to say welcome.
Somebody asked whether the communities are involved. Also, I skipped that one. Okay, so just quickly, thanks for reminding me on that. So you realize that where we come from, we are very careful with boundaries. So the communities are in cities, and because this is the first phase, we couldn't leave from our boundary to move into the community. So we work with the city corporation, and the city corporation have the wards and towns, so they do the engagement with the community. So we are not, as a secretary, we are not doing direct engagement. However, the city corporation at the local level, they've engaged all of the communities and townships to the extent that some of the people seconded to do administrative supervision are people working either at township, like for instance, West Point, Gawula, Gandersville. So most of the township commissioner, I know you talk about community, we're not able to do every community as a secretary. We ask the local government to help us do that. However, we are open to recommendations, but we just wanted to make sure we keep the boundary so that we don't have to go too much into local government administration. Thank you. So let me just respond to the questions that I got from the journalists. So somebody asked whether the government of Liberia is funding the upcoming retreat of the House of Representatives. Is the House of Representatives not part of the government? Or we are not trying to redefine what constitutes the government? The government comprises three branches: the judiciary, the legislature, and the executive. So I don't know what to say to you, but if the House of Representatives is conducting a retreat, they are part of the government. Has the government of Liberia been briefed on the Sarala incident? We are still being briefed about the situation, but not fully. What we can say is that the trend of violence in the country only do one thing. It will drive away investors. When the investors go away, government can employ everybody. One of the major problems the country is now facing is unemployment. Don't forget, the Sarala Rubber Corporation was greeted with violent protests at the close of last year. That protest almost led to the death of the owner of the company. And out of fear for their life, they shut down the company and they left. Jetty, who has been here for ages, rescued that situation. But what you need to do is this. When the Sarala Rubber Corporation, after the protest, made a decision to shut down, about 1,900 jobs were about to be lost. Jetty made an intervention, bought the company, and saved those 1,900 jobs. Today, there are reports of another incident. You are simply telling the outside world you don't need help. That your condition is okay, because those who want to come in the country, the president is the chief salesman of the country, is going out there, the immigration, making sure visa on arrival for everybody who will come to Liberia. And then the place where the government is trying to make an attractive destination is a place where citizens can take camotap and bust a policeman here. The place where when workers in the company get angry, they go and shut down the company, burn it down. You're not helping the situation. So we are still gathering details from the Sarala incident, and hopefully on Thursday this week we will provide that update to the public, because before we speak to these things in detail, we must have been able to establish contact with the authorities and that entity to know what is obtaining. ECOWAS refused to accept the nomination from the House of Representatives, and therefore, what you need to know is this. ECOWAS is a regional body. Liberia is a member of ECOWAS. And what I said the other day was that the action by the head of delegation to the ECOWAS Parliament to take our domestic politics to an international forum, thereby denigrating and misrepresenting His Excellency, was wrong. He is not a spokesperson of the ECOWAS Parliament. If they have an issue in Liberia, they should be able to speak. And I also said that he has overstayed the ECOWAS Parliament, so his argument has become redundant. There's a reason why people need to be rotated. You have one person staying at ECOWAS over 10, 15 years, and they think that there's some authority over themselves. The Liberian government will decide who represents the legislature at that forum. They will decide, Liberia will decide who represents her at ECOWAS Parliament. And that power is vested in the legislature. Nobody going to do that. Share government is crying, and how will the government handle the motorcyclist crisis? Government is not crying. What we are doing is to remind those who say that the police or the government is wrong by imposing the ban. We are drawing their attention to the action, the violent action for that matter, of the group of people who they are advocating for. Police officer is currently in the hospital because he tried to enforce a legitimate order. If the situation on Johnson Street yesterday was on the reverse, they would have gone on the rampage. They would have gone on the rampage. And when I say they, you know what I'm talking about. But a peace officer who came on the street to enforce law and order is now in the hospital. He could have lost his life. You don't know what the implication of that injury that has been inflicted on him will cost him for the rest of his life. So the way the government intends to handle it is very clear. The no-go zone remain in force. The no-go zone remain in force for commercial motorcycles. And that remain unchanged. Thank you. We'll see you on Thursday.
So that's 8. So that's 8 to the press briefing here at the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism. Today's press briefing was addressed by the Acting Commissioner of Liberia Immigration Services, Honorable Elijah F. Rupert, Ambassador Julian Indy, the Executive Director of ECF for Peace, and Anthony T. Maxwell Gibson, Head of Secretary of Liberia Youth Empowerment Programs. So if you are just joining, I would like to say welcome to Selling TV Liberia Live, and do join on Thursday for another edition of the press briefing. Thanks for following. Thanks for watching.
Be quiet.